Kenny decided to go back home to confront his past and find a path to forgiveness. His journey was one of healing, seeking closure from those who had hurt him. As he traveled from New York City, Kenny sat on the plane and made a list of what he hoped to gain from this trip and what he needed from the people who had caused him pain. When Kenny arrived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the thick, humid air greeted him. A tall, slender figure, he stepped out of the airport, looking almost unrecognizable to anyone who hadn't seen him in years. 5 years had passed since his last visit, and his mother, Jennifer, hadn't seen him in person during that time. As he emerged from the airport, Kenny called his mum, and when she answered, she could hardly believe that the man who now resembled a tall caramel macchiato was her son. But as he got closer, Jennifer recognized his familiar walk, realizing that this world-renowned, best-selling author was indeed her Kenny. Although she was proud of his success, her joy was simpler than the man who traveled the world on motorcycles and apparatus. She was just happy to see her son happy. On the drive back to Jennifer's house, they caught up, talking about everything he'd missed from home and all the new things happening in his life. When they arrived that afternoon, Jennifer turned to him, hesitating.
"I have something to tell you, Kenny," she said.
What is it, Mom?" As they got out of the car and headed toward the house, Jennifer finally spoke.
"I was so excited about you coming home that I started cooking, and I even asked Miss Miki to make the banana pudding you used to love. I know you didn't want anyone to know you were coming back, but, well, one thing led to another."
As Kenny opened the door, he was greeted with a loud surprise. Family members filled the room. Everyone except Vanessa and her children. "Where's Vanessa and her kids?" Kenny asked his mum.
Jennifer looked down. "Van had a stroke a couple of years back. She hasn't been well, but we can go see her if you'd like."
Kenny nodded. "I'd really like that." They left the gathering and made their way over to Vanessa's house. The once beautiful 2-story southern mansion, once owned by a former slaveholder, was now in disrepair. The grand white porch with 13 steps, faded and sagging. Kenny had always felt the steps held an ominous energy. As they approached the house, his cousin Sarah came running out, her face twisted with distress. Her torn blue jeans and tattered blouse revealed bruises on her arms. Her skin looked ashy, her hair was thinning, and her words were slurred.
Angry, she screamed, "Why is he here? He can't see my mother."
Kenny looked at her calmly. "After everything you and your family have put me through, I think I deserve a chance to say goodbye. I won't be coming back here again." After Jennifer's intervention, Sarah reluctantly allowed him inside. Kenny entered Vanessa's room, which looked like a makeshift hospital. The air was thick with the scent of sickness, poor hygiene, and neglect. The room was cold, with medical supplies and pill bottles cluttering the dresser. Lying frail and helpless, Vanessa was a shadow of the woman who once ruled with intimidation and fear. She lay there, her hospital gown stained and covered in food and drool. Sarah, it seemed, kept her sedated just to avoid dealing with her. Kenny softly said, "Hello, Auntie."
Vanessa's eyes fluttered open, startled. "Kenny, what are you doing here?"
He looked at her. "How are you feeling, Aunt Vanessa?"
She looked wary. "I'm fine. But why are you here, Kenny?"
Kenny's face was unreadable. "You owe me something."
She blinked, nervous. "What do I owe you?"
He leaned in close, whispering, An apology. Before you die, Auntie.
Her laugh was low, twisted, and defiant. She coughed, then replied, "An apology for what?"
Annie held her gaze. For stealing my innocence, for forcing me to keep your secrets, for turning me into a liar, and for treating me like a second-class citizen in my own family.